Oh, it's okay. We did it. All right, so I'm Erin from Rose Quartz Mediumship, and today that's right, the bag. And your walking stick. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about how to find a state of surrender and alignment. And I want to kind of give you a little bit of history on me and Rose Quartz Mediumship for those of you who don't know me. And then I'm going to tell you guys a story about today and how that state of surrender and alignment came into play for me. So my name's Erin. I have a doctorate in physical therapy. I graduated, climbed all the ladders, did all the things I was supposed to do, and still found myself in a place where I wasn't fulfilled. And I had absolutely everything that should make me feel fulfilled, and I wasn't. And so I started being curious about that, and I started searching for what was missing for me. And I started recognizing that I wasn't living an aligned life. I wasn't that far off, but I wasn't in full alignment. And so it resulted in me feeling unfulfilled, despite the fact that everything in my life was going really smoothly. And so I started really diving into healing, and I started diving into energy work. And the more that I dove into healing, the more that I started to recognize that my trauma from childhood was defining my life currently. And the more that I did healing work, the more that I started to peel back the layers of trauma responses and thought patterns and belief systems that were put on me, the more that I allowed my uniqueness and my authenticity to lead. And when I allowed my uniqueness and my authenticity to lead, everything came into alignment for me. And life became a lot easier. Life became a lot more simple for me. And I found myself fulfilled for the first time in my life. And so I dove into everything energy-based. I entered a Druid program. I entered a shamanic apprenticeship. I went through Reiki 1, 2, and Master. I got a Death Doula certification. I got a life coach. I got a spiritual coach. I dove into everything and anything energy-based that I felt drawn to. And all of that work was really based on me finding me, rather than all of the layers of trauma that were standing between me and the life that I wanted to live, the sensation that I wanted to live. And I started recognizing that my trauma and my trauma responses were literally my entire life. And it was both an incredibly empowering realization and an incredibly scary one, because I thought I was living a life that was based on who I was, only to realize that so much of my life was actually a trauma response. The desire to climb all the ladders was a trauma response. The desire to get a 4.0 with my doctorate was a trauma response. The desire to live in a house with a fence with the children and a spouse was a trauma response. And when I started to peel back the layers of that, I started to find me, the most pure version of me. And when that happened, magic happened for me. And I started to recognize that we tell ourselves a lot of stories. And by we, I mean our trauma typically defines our stories. So humans are funny. We will take a small number of facts and we will create a story around those facts. And that story that we create around the facts is what gives us meaning in the human experience. These stories that add up in our life give us the meaning for our human experience. So I'm going to give you an example, and this is going to be an example from today. So when I got here, I thought I was speaking tomorrow at noon because that's what I'd signed up for. And that's not what happened. Okay? Somebody else in my account merged. And so I'm not speaking tomorrow at noon. That's it. Those are the facts. I was signed up. That didn't happen. So I get to create a story around that. So the two facts are I was signed up for speaking tomorrow at noon, and that is not going to happen. So I can create a story around those facts that says, this is yucky, and now my day is going to be ruined, and I'm a victim, and this isn't going to go the way that I planned, and everything's not going to work at this entire expo. That's one story. There's a feeling to it. Or I could create a story that the universe worked out exactly what was supposed to happen. Right? That I'm supposed to speak today at noon. And that the people who are meant to be here are going to be here. And it doesn't matter what I signed up for. The universe gave me this beautiful course correction, and that I am exactly where I'm supposed to be. This is the funny thing about being human. We think that the stories that we create around the facts are the truth, when they are actually a truth. It's one truth. I could create 17 million stories around those two facts that I told you guys, right? So we could create a story where everything's going to go wrong. We could create a story where everything's going to go right. And we get to pick the stories that we tell. And what's incredibly powerful about that is that you get to decide what you want your life to feel like. It's a mindset. So I got a choice today that I could either decide that this was going to derail me, or I was going to decide that this was a gift. And the way that moved me through the rest of my day was going to define my day. And so often we will experience something and there will be a small number of facts, and we make a story around it that either puts us in a victim spot, it puts us in an empowered spot, it puts us in an aligned spot, it puts us in a beautiful mindset, it puts us in a mindset that maybe won't feel that great. And we get to pick. And the interesting thing about picking the story that you tell yourself, and I would encourage you guys to really pause and think about the stories that you tell yourself. And recognize that there is a pattern to them. It's the same kind of energy. So I'm going to tell you another story. I'm a hairdresser. I've got 3 clients. They stopped coming to see me. Those are the 3 facts. That's it. So we can create a story where I'm a hairdresser, 3 clients stop coming to see me because I'm really bad at cutting hair. There's a story. I could create a story that said, I'm a hairdresser, 3 clients stop coming to see me. One is going to trade nails with her sister-in-law. One is growing her hair out, and one is saving money because their child is going into college. Do you feel how different those stories are? We could create a story that says, I'm a hairdresser, 3 clients stopped coming to see me because one got eaten by a shark. It was really unfortunate. One moved out of state, and one decided that her daughter was going to do her hair. It's not about me. I don't need to make the story about me always, right? And the powerful thing about doing enough healing work is that you recognize that your trauma is telling your story. So if you have a story that you are not enough, if you've experienced trauma when you were a child or sometime in your life where you interpret it as I am not enough, the reason that my dad left, the reason that my mom left, the reason that my partner left, the reason I didn't get into that school, the reason that I didn't make the soccer team was that I'm not enough, then you're going to start telling a story on repeat about how you are not enough, right? And the more that you tell that story, the more that you create that reality for yourself. And so your trauma is defining the stories that you tell. And the stories that you tell define the meaning of your life. And humans are funny little things. We walk around telling stories all day to ourselves, thinking that they are the singular truth. And we'll say, like, no, I know that that's true because X, Y, and Z. But we have literally just created that story. And we can create any story that we want. And so if you want to change your life, one of the most powerful things that you can do is look at the stories that you're telling yourself. Does that story that I told me serve me? And if the answer is no, if your story does not serve you, pick a new one. It's literally that simple. You can pick any story you want to tell yourself. And there will be a vibration to it, there will be a feeling to it, there will be an energy to it, and it will push you in a specific direction or a different direction. And so when you're looking at changing your life, if you wake up someday and say, this is not what I want my life to feel like, I want to feel different every day, start looking at the stories that you tell yourself. And then start looking at, why do you tell that kind of story? Why do you always tell a story that you're not good enough? Why do you always tell a story that something happened and it's going to derail you? What if we told the story that this happened, I don't understand it, right? So if we go back to the example from today, I don't need to know why I'm not speaking tomorrow at noon. I don't need to know that. I can purely sit in a state of surrender and say, I trust the universe, and the universe is putting me exactly where I'm supposed to be, exactly when I'm supposed to be there. I get the right to create that story. And so when I find that state of trust with me and the universe, it makes everything easier because I'm not fighting the system. Like, I could have let this derail my day, but it wouldn't have served me. It wouldn't have done anything for me. So I chose a story that I am exactly where I'm supposed to be, doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, in the exact moment that I'm meant to do it. And that the universe is giving me a course correction back to where I'm supposed to be. And when I started doing this work, I started looking at life and the human experience as a dance between me and the universe. And for me, you can insert God, source energy, the universe, however it is that you say that. For me, it's all the same thing. So I'm going to use the word universe, but if you hear God, that's great. That's what you're supposed to hear. So for me, I started looking at the human experience between me and the universe as a dance. And I looked at the beginning of my life up until I started doing a lot of healing work and a lot of energy work. And I recognized I was trying to lead. I was trying to control the dance, where we were going, how we were going, the direction that we were going. And it was a struggle. I was struggling for control. And when I started allowing the universe to lead and just being present with the things that were coming up for me as they came up, from a place of non-judgment and a place of surrender, I realized how good it felt to be led. Have any of you guys ever been held? Like, if you let somebody hold you, really hold you, and let go, how good does it feel? Really, insert an F word, good, right? It feels really good to be held. And in order to be held, You have to let go. Nobody can hold you when you're doing this, right? Have you ever tried to have somebody hold you while also holding yourself? Yeah, I know you have, okay? I know you have. We have all done that. We have all tried to let somebody hold us while we're still holding ourselves. And they're like, I can't hold you. Like, there's elbows places, and can you just relax? And I started looking at my relationship between me and the universe, me and God, me and source energy, as a dance, as being held. If I want to feel held through this human experience, I can't be fighting for control the entire time. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to hold structure, right? It doesn't mean that I'm not going to be a good dance partner with the universe, with God, with source. It just means that I'm not going to try and be in control of it. I'm going to allow the universe to hold me. I'm going to allow God to hold me. I'm going to allow angels to hold me. I'm going to allow source energy to hold me. And when I do, that dance is so easy. It is so easy. The universe recognizes if we want to get over here on the dance floor, cupcake, you gotta follow me. And this is the path we're taking. And sometimes I have the tendency to want to march my way in control, and the universe is like, oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're marching. We're dancing. You're in divine feminine. Okay? Be in your divine feminine. Be in that beautiful state of surrender. Be in a state of flow, and trust me. Because when you don't trust me and when you push back against me, we can't get where I'm taking you. And so I started really building a deep sense of trust with the universe and saying, I don't need to understand where this dance is taking me. I just need to know that when I'm held by the universe, it is like nothing else that I get to experience. And so being able to let go and surrender and not be in control, for me, was all about healing the trauma that had happened in the history of my life. And it doesn't matter if that trauma is huge or small. One of the things that I watch people do as they are going on their healing journey is compare their trauma to somebody else's trauma and say, my trauma wasn't bad enough. You guys ever seen people do that? I wasn't kidnapped, I wasn't raped, I wasn't beaten, I wasn't whatever. So it's not bad enough for me to deserve healing. But this is the thing, is that I've met people where their trauma was 3 seconds on a school bus with another child who said some cruel comment. And it defines them to this day. You know, they're 44 years old and they were 7 when some kid made a mean comment and they can't unhear it. They are now not able to be comfortable in their body with their partner. They're not able to be comfortable in their body on the beach, on a walk, in the park, birthing their baby. Because somebody 30 some odd years ago made a comment, and it was 3 seconds in time, but it changed the trajectory of their life because they started telling that story. Oh, my body isn't good. I should be shamed. I should not like my body. And so when we start looking at trauma and we say our trauma has to be really big in order for us to want to heal it, we miss the opportunity to heal it. But if you literally look at your life and say anything that takes me out of the purest state of me is trauma. And if I choose, if I allow the healing around that, I also open up doors to live any kind of life I want to live. Because I'm not defined by somebody else's story that then became my story. So when people come to me and they say, I want a different life, I want a different feeling, I want to be happy every day, I don't want to long, we go back and we look at all of the stories from childhood. And we start looking at, what is the story that you tell yourself on repeat? If the story is that people with money are bad, do you think you're going to have money? No. You're not going to have money because you don't want to be bad. And so it's looking at those stories and starting to say, that's not true for me. Maybe I heard that. Maybe my family of origin taught me that. But that is not my truth. That is a truth that somebody else put on me that I picked up and carried around. And so when we start unpacking these stories and when we start telling different stories and we start looking at, why do I show up the way that I show up in the world? And is that in alignment with where I want to go? With what I want my life to feel like? If I want my life to feel balanced, but I have a truth that says that if I'm not producing and I'm not working, I don't provide value, I'm probably not going to feel very balanced. I'm probably going to feel really tired. Right? So if somewhere along the way, whether this is from family, whether this is our culture as a whole, whether it's a random person, a grandmother, somebody on a bus, a kid you went to school with, it doesn't matter. If you picked up a story and you're carrying it around, it defines your life. And if the story doesn't serve you, unpack where the story came from. Go back and talk to the little version of you that picked up that story and said, this is good, I'm going to carry it around, I'm going to put it on my back. And start telling a different story. Start defining yourself differently. And you're going to watch all sorts of things in your reality change. You're going to watch doors open. You're going to be like, there are 90 doors. There are no buildings. There's no restrictions anymore. I can literally do anything that I want. I am the creator of my reality. So if I don't like my reality, I can just make a new one. And I say that to people and they typically get pretty irritated with me. They're like, pound it, lady. I'm like, no, you can literally create any reality that you want. But it requires changing your mindset. It requires healing the part of you that holds that story, that believes that story. And you're going to hold that story in your mind. You're going to hold that story in your heart. You're going to hold that story in your body. And you're going to hold that story in spirit. Does that make sense to people? So when you tell a new story, you don't just tell a new story in mind. Sometimes I'm working with people and they're like, I did it, Erin. I told a different story. How come my life didn't change? And I say, well, where did you tell the story? They're like, what do you mean? I thought about it. I thought a different story. I said, well, what does your heart say? And they're like, oh, I have to do this in all quadrants of me? I have to tell a new story in my body? Where does the story of scarcity show up in your body? Is that held in your stomach? Is that held in your sacral chakra? Is that held over your heart? So how do you move that new story through the entire wheel of you? So you tell a different story in your mind, and then you start telling a different story in your heart. What does abundance look like in your heart? Maybe it looks like telling random people at an expo that you like their earrings, or their dress, or you like their shirt because it's jokey and it's funny. Maybe that doesn't work. Maybe your healing in your heart and abundance in your heart starts looking like giving somebody your time unapologetically without wanting anything in exchange. Just being present with somebody in their experience. And then your heart starts saying, yeah, there's no scarcity. There's always enough. There's always enough love. There's always enough time. We can always make enough time for people. And then you look at, where do I hold that story in spirit? When I go into meditation, when I go into yoga, when I create, if I'm an artist, and when I am in co-creation with the universe and I'm painting, where does scarcity show up? Where does that story show up? And so you really start looking at the stories that you tell. And how does your body hold that energy? How does your heart hold that energy? How does your mind hold that energy? How does spirit hold that energy? And when you take that story and you unlearn it, and you create a new story in its place, and you take that through the whole wheel of the human, through mind, through heart, through body, and through spirit, your reality will change. When you tell a different story, your reality will change. When your body says, this is what freedom looks like. It looks like walking naked from my bedroom to the bathroom in the middle of the night. That's freedom. And your body's like, yeah, I'm free. That felt good. Maybe freedom is rolling around on your sheets, freshly washed sheets. That's a sense of freedom for me. And my body loves that. But when you start really telling different stories, you will change your reality. Because you're creating meaning of the human experience with the stories that you tell. So take a moment and really think about, what are the stories that I tell myself? One of the most common things in my house is the phrase, that's one story. Okay, we literally say it all the time. My kids will be like, and he doesn't like me because I know that, blah, blah, blah. And I'll say, that's one story. And what I'm really doing is inviting my child to tell a different story. And then my child will say, well, he had a bad day. And he took it out on me by not engaging, or by being mean, or by not being reciprocal in communication. And then that story's not about my child. And then all of a sudden my child is in a state of empathy and compassion for the other child and whatever it is that happened to them that day that made them show up in that kind of energy. And so I would encourage you to start playing that game with yourself. The next time that you're irritated with something that happened at work or on the road, if you're driving in your car and you're like spouting off about something, just ask yourself, say, that's one story. Tell me another one. And see what you can come up with for different stories. And if you really start practicing that and get playful with it, right? Because, okay, we're going to do this exercise for a quick second. You guys want to do an exercise? Hey, I want you to close your eyes. Find a place of center or ground in yourself. And I want you to feel into the vibration of responsibility. Okay? I'm going to say it a couple of times. Responsibility. What does that feel like in your mind? What does it feel like in your heart? Responsibility. What does it feel like in your body? What does your body do when I say responsibility? What does that feel like in spirit? In your mind's eye, are you seeing a different color? Okay? Now I'm going to say, I want you to feel into the vibration of play. Play. What does the vibration of play feel like to you? What does it feel like in your mind? What does it feel like in your heart? Play. What does it feel like in your body? What does your body want to do when I say play? Spirit. What happens in your mind's eye when I say play? Which one felt better? Responsibility, right? Everybody loved responsibility, felt so good. Oh no. Play. Play felt better. So what if you played with yourself? What if you're like, I'm the best playmate I've ever had. I'm just going to play with myself all day long. So if I'm driving in the car and I'm irritated and I'm cranky, I'm going to be playful with myself. What would happen to your vibration? What would happen to your story if you played with yourself? And so sometimes people meet me and they're like, you know you're an adult? And I'm like, no, I don't. I don't know that I'm an adult. I literally play all day long. I have so much fun playing. I play with my partner. I play with my children. I ask playful questions. Would you rather be a boat or a train? And people are like, what do you mean, lady? Like, just play with me. Would you rather be a boat or a train, and why? Yeah, start being playful and start playing with yourself. If you're irritated, ask yourself why you're telling that kind of a story. Why are you defining your life and making meaning out of your life with that story? And then pretend this is dress up and make a new story and try it on. See how it feels. You guys play dress up when you were little? It's like, okay, I'm going to wear angry pants right now. And we're going to see how angry pants feels. Okay? Now I'm going to try princess. We're going to try princess dress. How does that one feel? But we can literally try on stories and decide how it makes us feel. And this is the thing. There is no boss of you, okay? Nobody is going to come down and say, sir, ma'am, stop trying on different stories. You can't do that. Nobody's going to do that to you. You are the boss of you. And you get to decide what kind of story you want to try on. And so be playful with it. And one day wake up and say, I'm going to play with different stories all day long. And practice it. And when you find yourself saying, I don't have enough money for that vacation, tell a different story. What would it look like to tell a different story? I'm open to abundance coming in my direction so that I can take that vacation. I'm open. I'll just let the universe drop some money in my account or my hand and just wait and see. But if you tell a story that you do not have enough money, you probably don't have enough money. And if you tell a story that you have enough money, and you feel that in your mind and in your heart and in your body and in your spirit, you'll probably have enough money. And if you start looking at, well, this changed in my reality, and the reason it changed is because I'm not enough, or I'm not enough, so this person's going to abandon me. Let's play another game. So I have this partner, and we break up. Those are the facts. That's all we got. Let's create a story. I had a partner. We broke up because I could never meet his needs or her needs. That's a story. How does it feel? Feels really yummy, soft, cozy? Probably not. What if we told a story? I had a partner. We broke up because we're not in alignment. We're not in a vibrational match for each other right now. You're not the medicine that I need, and I'm not the medicine that you need. Does that feel different? I have a partner. We broke up. We're going to see how many different stories we can tell because I like playing. I have a partner. We broke up Because they can only love to the capacity in which they love themselves. And that's not enough for me. Doesn't make them bad. Doesn't make them wrong. It just means that the bar that is my lowest standard is above where you're functioning right now. And so the loudest way for me to love myself is to let you go. That's way different than I can't meet his needs or I can't meet her needs. Maybe it's not about you. Maybe when you're like, I just want to feel seen and heard in my relationship. It's so simple. I just want you to acknowledge how hard I worked with the kids or at work, how much I did for our family. And your partner cannot do that. And we somehow make that about us, right? We make a story. I'm not enough, or else my partner would tell me that I'm enough. Maybe this has nothing to do with you. Maybe your partner is incredibly uncomfortable giving compliments because they were never praised as a child. But you've made a story where you're not enough because your partner doesn't tell you enough that you're enough. But that's not really it. When you start looking at the stories that you tell yourself, you'll recognize that you're probably telling yourself a bunch of, I won't use that word, but it starts with a B. Yeah. Look at the stories that you tell yourself and start recognizing that you are literally telling yourself stories all day long. All day long. And when I watch people really get this, when I watch them really embody this understanding that they are telling a story to themselves on repeat, their life changes. Because they stop telling the kinds of stories that they're telling. And my truth, which doesn't have to be anybody else's, is that the experiences that we have in this human experience are attached to lessons that we want to learn. Okay? So if you are having experiences, for me, one of the fastest ways of not getting stuck in it and not being in a victim position is to ask myself, why am I experiencing this? What am I supposed to learn? So, simple example, we'll go back to this morning. I got here. I thought I was presenting tomorrow at noon. I could make a story about being a victim. Or I could start asking myself, why am I experiencing this? Oh, it's an opportunity for me to be in a state of surrender. This experience is an opportunity for me to pick, am I in control, or am I going to allow the universe to lead me? And when I've done enough of my own healing work, I allow the universe to lead me. I don't make a story that is negative about the experience. I just go, oh, well, I'm meant to present today at noon. The people who are meant to hear it are going to be here today at noon. It's an opportunity to be in a state of surrender. But when my trauma is so loud that I cannot hear the lesson that is trying to come through, then my day is probably going to be ruined. Because I'm going to make a story about how I'm a victim. Because I haven't done the healing on little me that said that I'm a victim, that I'm not enough. But when I've done that work, then things happen in my reality, right? Like, you are going to have things change. You're going to think, this is going to work out on Saturday, or this is going to work out on Thursday, or I'm going to go to the grocery store on Friday morning, it's going to be perfect, and then your day blows up, and now you're not sure how you're going to make the stuff for dinner for the dinner party. You can either get into a state of chaos with that energy, or you can say, I'm experiencing this because it's an opportunity for me to learn how to be in a state of flow. So your day is going to change constantly. You're going to experience stuff. You're going to have things that go, quote unquote, wrong. And if you get playful with that and get curious about it and say, I wonder why I'm experiencing this. What am I supposed to learn? That is going to zoom you out to the 30,000 foot view of your life. And so instead of looking at it in a very human way with your face is like smashed up against the windshield, you're zoomed way out. And you start saying, what am I trying to learn here? What is my soul trying to learn? What is my soul trying to learn about losing this job? About losing this person? About losing this house? About losing this whatever? And it puts you in an entirely different situation. An entirely different mindset. And so start being playful and start being curious. I would invite you to do that. Actually, I won't tell you what to do. It's your life. You can do anything you want. Right? So if you want to be responsible, just be responsible. Y'all just did that exercise. Those of you who loved the vibration of responsibility, do that hard. All day. For those of you who loved the vibration of play, do that hard. All day long. And you will watch your life change with the stories that you tell. So be curious, be playful. Sometimes I have clients that will come see me and they will talk to me about how they desperately want this relationship to work, or they desperately want this job to work, or this situation, whatever it is that they are in a very intense state of control around. So if you come to see me, by the way, I will ask you more questions than I will give you answers. So some of you guys know me. You realize I will ask you a million questions. I am not your answer giver. I am your question giver. Because questions lead you into yourself. It leads you into a state where you develop a deep and beautiful, intense relationship with yourself. And you get curious about you and the being that you are. And so if you're desperately holding on to a relationship where you feel like somebody is trying to abandon you, the question that I will ask you is, are you abandoning yourself, trying to convince another person not to abandon you because you feel unworthy, and them not abandoning you makes you feel worthy? But you literally just abandoned yourself? And people will look at me and be like, nah, bummer, right? So start getting playful, start getting curious, ask yourself questions. Why do I do the things I do? Why do I show up like this? Why do I make the choice to wear these clothes, have this body, live in this town, live in this state, engage with these people? Why am I doing this? When you get really playful with yourself and with the universe, when you get playful with you and with God, with you and source energy, you are going to watch things change. So, for me, whenever somebody comes to me and they say, I don't like my life, because I always ask people, why are you here? And sometimes they'll give me very defined things, and sometimes they'll say, I don't like my life. And I'll say, great, I love that. I love that you don't like your life, because now we can change it. You are the creator of your reality. You can have any reality you want. But in order to have a different reality, you have to tell new stories. You have to look at where the original stories that you've been telling are coming from. You need to take that healing around the wheel of the human, so mind, heart, body, and spirit. And you need to change the vibration of the story that you're telling. So when you guys closed your eyes and you felt responsibility, and when you closed your eyes and you felt play, I didn't think anybody here was going to pick responsibility as the better vibration. But did you see how fast you could go between those two very different vibrations? How did you do it? Mindset. Mindset. So if you want to sit in the vibration of a yucky life, you can do that. You can do it all day long. You can do it for the rest of your life. Okay, there's no judgment there. If that is the experience that you want and need to have in this human experience, do it. But if that is not the experience that you are looking for in this human experience, don't do it. Pick a new vibration. You guys literally in about 10 seconds shifted from responsibility to play. Practice that. Practice that. When you're cooking dinner and you're cranky, be like, what would it feel like if I was having the max amount of fun right now? And what would help me do that? Right? Like maybe it's dancing as you're cooking. Maybe it's putting on music. But if you are somebody who has awareness of what you're doing and why you're doing it, you start being really purposeful. And you start saying like, okay, I'm gonna cook breakfast, right? And I can chop up these peppers and these tomatoes to go into my eggs, and I can have that be really boring. Or I can pick the most fun option and see if I could do this on my tippy toes. Or, yeah, you guys laugh, but this is the kind of stuff I do, okay? If you lived in my house with me, you would be like, oh my God, stop it. Stop it. So for those of you who saw Kevin in the back, he's videoing this. He has to play with me all day long. It is non-stop. The poor dude, you guys should feel bad for him. I literally play with him all day long. But if I'm cooking breakfast, I'm doing it in the most fun way possible. Sometimes that looks like wiggling while I'm cooking because that feels more fun in my body. But I'm somebody who believes in law of attraction. So whatever I'm putting out to the universe, I'm getting back from the universe, right? So if I put out a story that says, I'm not enough, I'm gonna get back, I'm not enough. And if I put out, I'm having a lot of fun making breakfast, I'm gonna get back a lot of fun in my day. And so I'm really purposeful with what I do with my energy. And when I'm really cranky, I'm like, okay, what do I need to do to shift gears? Most of the time, it's to look at the lesson so that I can move through it, so that I can go back to play. And when you sit, you guys saw how good it felt to sit and play. What was that? 10 seconds, 20 seconds we sat in the vibration of play? How good did it feel? What if you did that 100 times a day? What if you played for 10 seconds 100 times a day? What do you think would come back from the universe? If you're somebody who believes in law of attraction. So if you're putting play out into the universe, don't be surprised when play comes back, which is way more fun than cranky breakfast. I'm telling you. Like, you can make breakfast fun. I promise you. You can make absolutely anything fun if you just learn to play with yourself. You are literally the best playmate you'll ever have. Oh my God, I love playing with myself. All the ways. It's so fun. Okay? So, in general, I think that most of us as humans move through life in a non-purposeful way. And when you watch somebody move through life in a purposeful way, you know it. They are on fire. They are magnetic. They feel so good, you want to get really close to them and press your energy against them. And sometimes you don't have enough words to say why. You just know, when I'm in their presence, I feel great. I feel amazing. Those are people who are being very purposeful with their energy. They are choosing the vibration that they want to sit in. They're being purposeful. And in order for them to choose the vibration that they want to sit in, they have to have done enough work on the stories that they're telling and where those stories came from. So, as we part ways and as we walk away from this, I would just really encourage you to look at the stories that you're telling. And you're going to recognize that you literally tell stories all day, every day, with everything you do. And if you don't like your life, change your stories. Tell more fun stories. Try it. Literally try it and see how it will change your reality. And there's so many things that we believe are truths. We say, no, I know this is true. No, it's a truth. Like, you will learn when you play this game with yourself that you are literally just picking one single truth. But you could try on, you could have a dress rehearsal, and play dress up with yourself and make 50 million different truths. And try them all on and decide what you want to wear that day. So for me, when I look at what does alignment feel like, it feels like letting go of the stories that have been put on me that don't resonate, that are not where I want to go. If I picked up a story when I was 4, see, that dude knows how to play, okay? That is the most fun option, right there, okay? Oh, you didn't interrupt at all. So, when you look at wanting to change your life, look at the stories that you're telling. And invite yourself to tell different stories. And just try them on. Try them on and see how they feel. And you might say like, oh no, this one chafes. I can't wear this one. Sorry, I don't want to be chafed today. Oh, this one's very flowy. This story is very flowy. I like the way this one feels. This one's a little bit restrictive. Feels good, but it's too tight. So we're gonna make it a little bigger. And you'll notice that your life will change. So I really appreciate you guys being here with me today. Love the fact that the universe made it happen today. That's what I pick. That's the story that I pick, is that I love it. And I genuinely do. And I really appreciate each and every one of you guys for showing up and being here.